Okay, and we are back. So I'm going to load up our saved game, and it takes us to the map, so you can see that we have some locations filled in on the map. Starting from Zombini Isle, we had the Allergic Cliffs, the Stone Cold Caves, the Pizza Pass, and now we are at our first checkpoint of Shelter Rock. So welcome everyone, this is the second video in my Let's Play of the logical journey of the Zoombinis, and we are going to just continue where we left off. So, like I mentioned last time, we could, if we wanted to, go back to Zombini Isle and make some more Zoombinis and take them along this first leg of the journey, which is called the Big, the Bad, and the Hungry. So, I guess he's the Hungry at Pizza Pass. The cliffs are big and the guardians are bad. I'm not sure. So we could do that, and I bet we could also take the next group through and the next group, and theoretically we could take all the Zoombinis from Zombini Isle through this first leg, store them all at the campsite, before we even go on to any other part of the journey. But that would get kind of boring, just repeating the same path over and over again. It'd be boring for me, it'd be boring to watch maybe. So instead we're going to go to Shelter Rock, which is the campsite, and continue the journey with the 16 Zoombinis that we left there before. So we'll click that. And here we are. You can see they're still right here on the path where we left them, so that's handy. But before we continue on, let's actually explore this campsite a bit, because there's just a few interesting things. Let's look at the question mark. Shelter Rock. After traveling far, the Zoombinis have a quiet place to rest. You could also store Zoombinis in the shelter for a later trip. You'll need to have 16 Zoombinis placed on the stones lining the path before the entire group can continue their journey. To store Zoombinis, place them in the slots built into the hill. Click on the thin bars to the left and right to scroll through the shelter. It grows to fit as many Zoombinis as you bring to camp. Okay. So this is the storage place for Zoombinis. So if we wanted to, we could pick them up and place them in these slots. And this is not a puzzle. You can put them wherever you want in here. You can also use the arrows to go side to side. So the thin arrow will move one column at a time. And then if you move over to the far, you'll see that sort of double-headed arrow. If you click that, it'll scroll through a bunch of Zoombinis at a time, a bunch of columns. Or at least it should. But maybe we don't yet have enough Zoombinis in here to use that. So this, it looks fairly small at first. So it looks like it's, this is as far to the left as I can go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5. And we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like it's 10 wide and 5 tall. So at the moment, it looks like we can store only 50 Zoombinis, but if you bring more Zoombinis here, it'll magically have more storage spaces there. And I'm not sure why they don't have it like be 4x4, so then your 16 would fit exactly. Instead, they have 5x5, which I guess would be useful if you want to arrange these by feature somehow. But that's how it is. And the Zoombinis, despite being in these tiny little stone cubby holes that then get rotated into the hill so they can't even see, they don't seem to mind being stored in there. But we don't need to do that for now, because all of these are coming with us. But the storage is important because you can only have a group of exactly 16 to continue on to the next leg of the journey. So if we had lost some Zoombinis on the way here, we would not be able to immediately continue our journey because we would have less than 16. So if that happened, the Zoombinis that are already here would have to stay here, and then we'd have to go back to Zombini Isle and bring a new group of 16 because we have to start with 16 from Zoomini Isle and bring them here, and then we'd have 16 plus however many we left here. And then we still wouldn't have enough for 2 full groups, but we'd have enough for 1 full group, which would have some of the original group plus some of the new people to make a new group of 16. And then the ones that we couldn't take with us would be left behind in the storage there. So that's how it works. I'm not sure how it works at the end of the game, like when you run out of Zoominis at Zoomini Isle and you can't take any new ones, how that would work. But I've never gotten that far in the game. So I also, off camera, I did some math of the number of potential Zoomini combinations. So there are 4 different traits that Zoomini have. They have their hair, eyes, nose, and legs. And each trait has 5 different possibilities. So 5 hair times 5 eyes times 5 noses times 5 feet. That equals 625, which is the total number of Zoominis that were at Zoomini Isle to start with. So there's 625 unique combinations, but if you start getting twins involved, then those twins will take up some of the slots of those 625 slots. So I believe if you use any twins at all, it will not be possible to make every possible Zoomini combination. But that's really not a big deal. I'm not sure why that would ever matter. If it did matter, you'd have to write down which combinations you'd already used to make sure you weren't reusing any of them. But having a few twins here and there, like we had on this one, we ended up with, where is it? Green nose, pink nose. These 2. This one and this one. These 2 were randomly generated, but they turned out to be twins. So you would probably not be able to use the random generation because that will make twins occasionally just by chance. So you'd have to customize every Zoomini group and write down which combinations you're using if you want to use every possible combination. But so I've already failed in using every possible combination, but I don't think that's a big deal. I'm not willing to go back and redo the first episode for that. And at the end of the game, it doesn't really matter. So but yeah, so that's how the storage system works. And before we go on, let's look around the camp a little more. There's a few things, if I remember, that you can click on. Like that guy. What, not this rock? I thought this rock was something. I don't remember all of the, oh. Logs. Do the logs do anything? Nope, nope. Yeah, Zoombinis do not sit on that rock when you're around the campfire, because it's alive. Some tiny glowing bats. And then the mushrooms can change colors. So Zoombinis don't eat the mushrooms either. We don't know if they're safe. Wonder if I can make them all the same color. They're not quite the same, but close enough. Maybe they can all be dark blue. There is absolutely no in-game reason to be doing this, but it's cool that they included it. Okay, so they're all some type of blue. Okay. And then this pot, which in the last video, the narrator said that it was full of hot soup ready to eat. Don't know who left this for them or how long that soup has been there, but oh well. The Zoombinis, too bad they can't actually sit and eat it. At least you can't watch them eat. So okay, so we have two different paths we can go on. And because we haven't been in either place yet, we can't actually really see what's on the paths, but one of them will go more south, and one of them will go more north. I happen to know what the paths are like, and the thing is, on each journey through the entire game, you can only take one of them. So I think I'm going to just try and alternate as much as I can. For now, I'm going to take the south path, just because I think I like it slightly better, or at least it's a little faster to play through. So we'll take that, the south path on this trip. And I have to make sure my favorite guy is in slot number 1, just because. So that's Aiko. And off they go.
There's no sense leaving it up to chance. Lure the fleas off the tree branch.
Okay, so we are now in the deep dark forest, and we are at our first puzzle of this area. Already there's quite a few shady characters on screen. We can't actually click on them directly, so we have to find some other way of interacting. So let's go to the help. Fleens. What's this? The fleens are blocking the progress of the Zoombinis. Lure the 3 fleens off of the beehive branch to free the Zoombinis. This will bother the bees and chase the fleens away. Each fleen will chase a Zoombini with hair, eyes, nose, and feet that go with its hair, eyes, nose, and feet. A wrong guess will send a retreating Zoombini onto another branch, which can only hold a maximum of 6 Zoombinis. Once the branch is full, each wrong guess will send a Zoombini back to Shelter Rock. Okay. So, the fleens, as you can see, all have a variety of different traits, and these traits correspond to Zoombini traits in some way. So it's not an exact match. So like mohawk hair, we don't have a mohawk hair in the Zoombini side. But they do have 5 different hairstyles. So there's the purple mohawk, the flat bandana, the Viking helmet, the blue ponytail, and the green spiky hair. And those will in some way correspond to the 5 Zoombini hairstyles, but we don't know which way because it will be different every time. And then the eyes, they've got the mask, the sort of squinty eyes, the visor, the triple eyes, and the sunglasses. Noses, they have black, yellow, pink, blue, and is that it? And purple. Okay. And even though they have like a yellow nose and a purple nose, those won't necessarily correspond to our yellowy noses and purpley noses. They just happen to be the same color. And then for feet, you've got like jet engines, high heels, cowboy boots, wheels, and tank treads. So our job is to figure out which Zoombini features correspond to which fleen features. And we do have a certain number of wrong guesses we can make. Actually, in this game, you're always allowed basically 3 wrong guesses, and you need to use 3 right guesses. So a total of 6 guesses you're allowed to make before you start losing Zoombinis. So like with Pizza Pass, if you have too many wrong guesses, you'll lose Zoombinis after that, one at a time, until you finally get the right answer. So at the start of the game, we have to do a few tests to see how the features match up. But we can actually try and guess even before we do some of the tests. So we know that fleeing hair, I believe in the easiest difficulty, it's always going to be a comparison of hair to hair, eyes to eyes, nose to nose, feet to feet. So there are 4 fleens with the purple mohawk hair, 2 with the blue ponytails, 3 with the spiky hair, 5 with the bandanas, and 2 with the Viking helmets. So the mohawk is the only one that had exactly 4 fleens with that hairstyle. So let's find the hairstyle on our side that has 4 Zoombinis. So I'll sort of group them. This is a useful thing to do in a lot of puzzles. Just pick up and put Zoombinis next to each other to help you sort them. So this guy, will put you over here. And these can go here. These can go here. So the bandana has 5. So the bandana corresponds to ponytails. The mohawk has 4, so that corresponds to these flat tops. So we need to send across 2 flat tops and 1 ponytail, but we don't know the other features yet. So we know that none of these guys are going to go across. It's got to be 2 of these and 1 of these. But let's look at the other traits and see what they're going to be. So for eyes, for the bandana, we have 2 bandanas. There's 3 squinty eyes, 5 visors, 3 triple eyes, and 2 with glasses. So we need to find, for the bandana guy, we need to find Zoombini eye type where there's only 2 of it, and one of them is going to be the flat top. So let's see. Eyeglasses, there's more than 2 of that. Cyclops eyes. I think there's 3 of that. Sleepy eyes, there's only 2. And then there's another Cyclops. So this one here, even without comparing the other features yet, the flat top is the mohawk, because there's 4 of those. And then the sleepy eyes, there's 2 of those on our side, and there's 2 bandanas. So this Zoombini matches up with this fleen. If I wanted to, I could compare the noses and jet feet and see if those match up, but I'm pretty sure this does. So I'm just going to pick them up. If you hover over here, the ground lights up and we'll send him down. And then the fleen that matches him will jump up and chase him. So we just have to hope it's this one on the branch. Yep. Okay, good. So next, let's try going for, let's try doing this one at the end. So we know he has to have, he matches up with one of the ponytails. He has the same feet as this one, and this one had roller skates on the Zoombini side. So we need a ponytail with roller skates. We have 2 of those because they're actually twins. And this is where having twins, this is the one puzzle where having twins in your Zoombinis can actually make the puzzle harder, because this one has a twin on the fleeing side over here. So these two are identical. So if I put one of my twins out, I don't know whether this one or this one is going to jump up and chase them. So we might end up wasting a turn basically by having the wrong twin activate. But we can't really know without trying. Okay, so fortunately the right twin jumped up. And I'm not sure if the game chooses that by random, which of the two twins will chase after the Zombini or what, or if it's has something to do with their names, because those are the only real differences between this one and this one. But oh well. So this one we'll put back. We don't need it. And then the one that's left and needs to have the flat top like the first Zombini did, to go with that mohawk. Eyes, it needs to have different eyes from either of these. So this one has different eyes from these two. So our Zombini eyes need to be different. So we can't have sleepy eyes or wide eyes, but we didn't have those anyway. It has a different nose color, so we can't have a red or a purple nose. So this guy's out. And then for feet, these have roller skates and this has jet engine feet. So no roller skates here. So then this should be the one left on the branch.
Job.
Why the fleeing sit above a beehive? I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of test of courage. Anyway, the Zoombinis are very excited about that. So that's the fleeing's puzzle. So on the easiest difficulty, if you just take a few minutes and compare the amount of different features on your side and on the fleeing side, you can basically do 3 for 3, where every guess you use will get a fleeing down, so you don't have to have any wrong guesses. And again, this branch that they're on, it can hold a total of 6 Zoombinis, so we could have also had 3 wrong guesses and been safe, but any more than that and the Zoombinis will start to fall off, and then they'll get chased away, and then you'll end up losing them. But for now, we succeeded, so we're going to continue on.
Hurry, Zoombinis. Hula, the forest's foremost, and perhaps only, band leader is about to begin rehearsals. She'll be closing the hotel for the night, so scamper into a room.
Guests? Ah, guests. I'll be right down. Make yourselves cozy. Welcome. You're just in time for tomorrow's concerto. Help yourselves to a room. I got rehearsal. Go ahead, find yourselves a room.
Okay, here we are. This is actually one of the few puzzles that has background music. Most of them just have ambient sounds, but let's go ahead and look at the help and see what we do here. Hotel Dementia. Not dementia, dementia, like it has dimensions. After a long journey, the Zoombinis need rooms to stay in overnight. However, only Zoombinis with one feature in common can room together. For example, Zoombinis with sunglasses may stay in the same room, but all others must find a different room. Try to figure out whether hair, eyes, noses, or feet are the features that matter tonight. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So we've got this hotel here built into the tree trunks, and we have 5 different rooms. So these rooms will correspond to variations of the same feature. So these could be the 5 different hairs, the 5 different eyes, the 5 different noses, or the 5 different feet. And we have to put Zoombinis into the different rooms, grouping them based on those traits. And we have a timer on the screen. So every wrong answer we give will cause the clock to advance. And once the clock gets far enough, then we will run out of time, and any Zoombini not in a room will be left behind. So this puzzle is not very hard yet at the very first difficulty, although it does get quite difficult later. What's interesting about this puzzle is, as far as I know, the first Zoombini you put into a room will always be accepted. And then the puzzle will determine how the other Zoombinis can go after that first one is placed. So let's say that the puzzle decided to sort by eye types tonight. So the first Zoombini you put into a room will always be accepted, but then that room is the only place where Zoombinis with that eye type can go. And then you can put whatever Zoombini that doesn't have that eye type in the second room, and then all those in that room must have that eye type. So it sort of generates possible options as you go along, kind of thing. Okay, so the first Zoombini we put in a room will always be allowed. So let's see if we can find 2 Zoombinis that are similar but for one different feature. So this one should be able to go in here. And now this one is close but has just the hair different. So if we put it in here, it's accepted. So that means that the hair does not matter. So any Zoombini that has eyeglasses, red noses, and propeller feet would always go in here. We don't have any others like that, but let's see if we have others with at least one of those traits in common. So this Zoombini is similar to the first, it just has a different nose color. So let's try this one. Okay, so eyeglasses and propeller feet are together, so the hair doesn't matter and the nose doesn't matter. So eyeglasses and propellers. Let's see, here's one that has just eyeglasses. Nope, that's refused. So what mattered here was that these had the same type of feet. So you saw that one was booted out because it didn't have the same foot type, and the clock also advanced a little bit. So these feet type, which actually I think they're more like train wheels, so that can go in a room, and we could have picked any room for that one to go in. It just has to be not this one. And then let's try spring feet next. So once you figure out what feature it's sorting by, you should be able to do the rest of them easily. So just to show that you can do them in whatever order, let's put roller skates over here. Okay, and then just these guys last. So as long as you start out by testing Zoombinis with very similar features, it should be pretty easy to tell which one is being rejected, like which one matters and needs to be separated. So I think we only had...
Got a split. See you in the morning.
I think we only had 1 or 2 rejects. But yep, they're all safe and sound now. So no, on this difficulty, it's pretty easy. But it does get more complex later, which we will see eventually. But for now, good night, Zoombinis.
Strike the targets one and all, and watch for a pattern on Mudball Wall.
Okay, so we are here at the third puzzle of this part of the journey. So let's, before we look at this contraption, let's look at the help. Mudball Wall. The Zoombinis need your help in getting over the wall to freedom. Using the Mudball launcher, hit the sections of the wall with dots on them. The color and shape of the mudball tells you what section it will hit. For example, green mudballs might always hit in the first row, and square shapes might always hit in the first column. Okay, so I think this is basically graphing, but instead of X and Y coordinates with numbers that you have to figure out, you have the mud ball where the color and the shape will tell you where it will hit. And you have to figure out how that pattern works. So our goal is to launch the mud balls and have them hit these parts of the wall, the ones that are paler with dots on them. And depending on the number of dots that's on the section we hit, that many Zoombinis will be launched over the wall. So you only have a certain amount of mud in the machine, and once that runs out, even though we just saw it suck up mud, for some reason once it runs out it can't just get more than any Zoombini that hasn't been launched yet will be left behind. But we have lots and lots of guesses, so there's no reason that should happen. But this is one puzzle where we have no information really to start with, so there's no reason to not just use the initial mud ball and see what happens with that. Okay, so I put the yellow oval mud ball up here. So the way it works is that either yellow will be this row, so we'll either have a row of yellow, or the column will be yellow. We don't know yet. And then the oval will either be the column or the row. So one of these will be by shape and one of these will be by color, but we don't know yet. So let's try, just so we know how it's doing it, let's try yellow but a different shape. Okay, so just by luck we happened to hit one of these panels and it had 2 dots, so 2 Zoombinis were launched over. So now we know that yellow is this entire row, and the way it works is it'll either be all colors and all shapes or the other way around. So the rows are by color now, and the shapes are by column. So we know that there are no other star shapes that we need to get. There's one other circle shape, and there's one other yellow. So it would be great if we could start hitting some of these in this column, but we don't know what shape that is. But we know it's not a star or a circle, so let's try something different. And we'll keep it, I think, as yellow. And then we'll see where it ends up. It might end up here, or here, or here, but we'll see. Okay, so this column is the diamond column, but we want to go over to this column, so let's try a square. Nope. Well, at least now we know where every shape is, so the triangle has to be the one that's left. Alright, so we've got every column has the shape figured out. Just so you know that the shape order here has nothing to do with the order of the shapes on the machine itself. Same with the colors, it doesn't mean anything. Whatever's on here is not necessarily the order it's going to be on the wall. So we have 3 more triangles that we could try to get. We don't know the color of any of the other rows. So because of that, I want to stick with a triangle column because 3 of the 4 remaining rows will have dots on them. So let's try blue. And then let's try a green one. And then we'll try the red one. We have a 50-50 chance. Okay, and that means the last row is purple. So now we know where every shape is, we know where every color is, so there's no more guessing at this point. We just have to look closely. So this column is the diamond column, so let's pick a diamond shape, and we want it to be red. And column is the square column. And then the only color it can be is the one that we didn't use, which is purple. Okay, and then there's just one left. So this is the oval column, and it needs to be red.
You got them all through. Good for you.
Of course I did. But you can see we did have some mud left. In fact, how much did we use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we used 11 mud balls. And it doesn't tell you exactly how many mud balls this much mud will make. But I'm guessing there was maybe enough for 15 to start with. And on this difficulty, you get plenty of chances. You saw we had enough mud to completely figure out the entire table. But yeah, that's Mud Ball Wall. This is another one I think is pretty popular. I like the colors, and it makes a fun splat sound, so what's not to love? But let's continue on, Zoombinis.
Amazing indeed. Another relaxing campsite ready and waiting for Zoombinis. And they'll need their rest. The darkest, most dangerous part of the journey is yet to come.
Did I mention I like the narrator? Yeah, he's one of the best parts. So anyway, we are at another campsite. Shade Tree. Amazing indeed. Another relaxing campsite ready and waiting for the Zoombinis. Didn't we just say that? You'll need to have 16 Zoombinis placed on the stones lining the path before the entire group can continue their journey. They're almost to their new homeland. To store Zoombinis, place them in the slots built into the tree. Click on the thin bars to the left and right to scroll through the shelter. Okay, so mechanically this works basically the same as the first shelter. You can store Zoombinis in this tree. If you lost Zoombinis along the way, you'll have to go back either to Zoombini Isle, or if you have some at Shelter Rock, you can just go back there. It doesn't matter which path you take, by the way. At that fork in the road at Shelter Rock, they both will lead here. So going either way, you can bring a new group here and use those new Zoombinis to help complete a party of 16. From this point on, there's only one path to take, which is actually the last leg of the journey. And because I think this video is going to be a little bit shorter than episode 1, and I know the next one has some long puzzles in it, let's go ahead and explore the campsite a little before we wrap up. So, anything interesting to click on? I like that. It actually stays lit. So it looks like there was no hot soup ready and waiting for us because we had to start the fire ourselves. I guess the log is just gone forever. Alright, I think that's all of the different things. Let's see, is this the first position? It's hard to tell. It looks like it's slightly forward of the other one. But yeah, this is the second base camp. So this is another place where you can access the map and save your game if you want. But I think we will continue with the last leg of the journey in the next video, because it'll be, if I remember correctly, it can take a while, some of those puzzles. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.